Hello, this is Spellbinder's report of the headlines from the Unfiltered News newsletter from the Reality Zone, compiled by g.edward Griffin and Associates. This is for the week of April 23rd through the 29th of 2011. Today's comic strip is pretty good. Actually, it's a picture. It's an AT&T 3G phone. And it says in here, coming from, since AT&T does a lot of eavesdropping, it says, "This is the government. We know where you are." Laugh out loud. Seriously, we do. Okay. And now for the headlines for this week. U.S. General David Petraeus, a CFR member, will be appointed the head of the CIA, and Leon Panetta, former CIA director, will become Secretary of Defense. This brings into public light the reality that military and CIA both serve a power elite with virtually no meaningful oversight by Congress. That's right, they're appointed by faceless bureaucrats and gives the people no say in anything. That was the activist post, April 29th. Obama video. Obama's long-form birth certificate was released, but already critics are raising questions about its authenticity. All of Obama's other records that might reveal his place of birth have been scrubbed from public access, and millions have been spent to keep them hidden. The controversy continues. From the Atlas Shrugs, 2011, April 28th. Yes, it'll show that you can take the birth certificate they posted and take it apart layer by layer. If it was actually a Xerox copy, like it appears to be, it wouldn't be in layers. There's no machine in existence that makes copies in layers, as far as a copier. And that's therefore, if you can take it apart layer by layer of the form and remove things and put things back, it's not real. And then plus it didn't have the embossed seal on it, which to me that tells me it's not authentic anyways, because all birth certificates, even copies, get embossed with an embosser with the seal of the state or the hospital to make it authentic, of course. Okay, next. Pentagon, 9/11 victim and her lawyer are facing sanctions for her lawsuit against Cheney and Rumsfeld for their part in the 9/11 tragedy. The case went to an appellate court where George W. Bush's first cousin was one of the three judges. Not surprisingly, the court said that the suit was frivolous and a fantastical alternative history. Of course, especially when you got people covering for other people in high places, like the judge is George W. Bush's first cousin. ABA Journal, April 28th. U.S. Supreme Court rules that corporations can block class action suits. That's right, they're untouchables now against them simply by placing a mandatory arbitration or alteration clause in all consumer contracts. It also said that states do not have the right to challenge the federal ethic of this matter. You can't sue corporations for damages by their products. Yahoo, April 27. U.S. J.P. Morgan and Treasury Borrowing Advisory Committee, which includes the B of A, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan, Morgan Stanley, and Soros Fund Management and others, warn Obama about the soaring national debt, but at the same time urge him to push harder for increasing the debt ceiling. In case you are confused, understand that the debt warning is mostly to look good in the public's eye. It's PR. Banks make their money by collecting interest on debt. Debt and more debt is what drives their business. CNBC, April 27th. Oh, here's a surprise. U.S. Bernanke holds a press conference. First time ever for a Fed chairman, said QE2 will end as planned because the economy has strengthened. Right. This is definitely a PR move to enhance the Fed's image as being proactive and transparent. But nothing has changed, including the disinformation about the alleged strength of the economy. Although the purchase of the government bonds with freshly created money may be terminated, it is to be replaced by a new program in which bonds will be purchased with money the Fed says is earning from the junk mortgages it acquired from ailing banks. Not mentioned is that the value of these mortgages continue to fall and therefore more than offset the so-called revenue. This is sleight of hand and continue pumping money into the government in more obscure manner, and it will be paid by the middle class through inflation. If Bernanke had made this announcement before a congressional banking committee, he might have been questioned and the scheme exposed. But in a press conference before compliant and clueless reporters, the banker's arcane secret was well protected. Yahoo, April 27th. Video. Ron Paul comments on Bernanke's press conference and advocates removing the ability of the Fed to buy up government debt, thus preventing outrageous spending. That's a great concept. Thank you, Ron Paul. That was YouTube, April 27th. $9 per gallon gas in Germany and Holland, over $8 per gallon in other European countries. That's because it's about $2 a liter over there, and it adds up. It's like, 4 liters in a gallon or so? And 3 liters? U.S. Each American soldier in Afghanistan costs taxpayers over $1 million per year. Each American soldier in Afghanistan. The U.S. recession is deeply connected to military spending, yet most Americans tolerate the economic destruction of their nation because they believe the myth that endless war in the Middle East protects them from terrorism. Activist Post, April 26. See, they're $1 million. See how much money we could be saving if we just bring the soldiers home and quit trying to nation building and taking resources from other countries for the banksters. We could really be a rich country again. 4 major central banks, including the U.S. Federal Reserve, and European Central Bank, and the Bank of Japan, the Bank of England, have pumped $5 trillion in fiat money created out of thin air into the world's economy. That's 8% of the global economic output. The result is massive inflation and the false impression that the stock market is improving. During inflation, all prices rise, including stock shares. But that's only because the purchasing power of the currency goes down. Although the dollar price of a share of stock may rise, its value in terms of how many hamburgers it will buy goes down. Telegraph, April 26. It's true. I mean, that stocks seem like they're going up because they cost more to get the same amount. Because the paper's deflated. U.S. independent study shows that states use deceptive accounting to conceal budget shortfalls that could be as high as $2.4 trillion. Many pension funds will not survive. This is an Enron-style accounting on steroids. Here is how they do it. And there it is. Bury pensions, April 26. 9 whistleblowers and an anti-BP activist connected with the Gulf oil spill have died under mysterious circumstances. Imagine that. AFP, April 25th. Yes, whistleblowers disappear when they tell about the crimes of their bosses. American Precious Metals Exchange, one of the biggest wholesalers of precious metals, wants to buy any quantity of gold eagles for $38 over spot price and silver eagles at $3 over spot price. That just means that they are low on inventory and cannot deliver enough physical bullion to keep up with the demand. Zero Hedge, April 25th. So you can see what they have done. They're trying to cover their costs. They've done the same thing the banksters did back in those days. They used to print more paper than they had bullion, and because nobody would come back. Now everybody's coming back for their gold and silver, and they don't have it. Yep, that's what happens. You got silver certificates, and you don't get physical silver to begin with, and try to cash in. Here we go. U.S. and Japan governments are downplaying the Fukushima disaster, but radiation and emissions are much higher than generally reported. Readers are advised to consider precautionary doses of iodine, bentonite clay, and zeolites. Actual News, April 25th. Mexican narcotics cartel chief says he coordinated massive shipments of illegal drugs into the U.S. on behalf of the Department of Justice, the DEA, the FBI, and the Department of Home Security, Immigration, and Customs. The government has not yet responded, but we predict it will either deny this entirely, or if the evidence is too clear to deny, it will say that this was done to keep an eye on the drug cartels, or to pit one cartel against another, all to combat illegal drugs, of course. In truth, it is common for the government to derive huge profits from drug trafficking while pretending to fight it. Narcosphere, April 25th. And it's true. They bring in the drugs, they sell them on the street, they're making the big profits while we have illegal drugs. Otherwise, they'd be legal. U.S. 19% of Americans have raided their retirement accounts in the past year to make ends meet, despite heavy penalties for early withdrawal for them. This is the last resort, indicating that all forms of savings have been depleted. Bank rate, April 25th. The UN, International Monetary Fund, declares that China's economy will overtake the U.S. economy by 2016. I've heard stories that it's already overtaken the U.S. this year. China, communist government nervous about revolts in the Arab world, cracks down even more against free speech and those who criticize the state on the internet. They are charged with inciting subversion of state power. USA Today, April 24th. U.S. 9/11 responders will be subject to FBI anti-terrorist review before becoming eligible for medical or financial benefits relating to illness contracted during their heroic work. That is an insult to these men and women, but is also a means of silencing them. Nowadays, anyone who is critical of the government can be put on a list as a suspected terrorist. From Forbes magazine, April 24th. Animals reject GMO food instinctively knowing they are harmful. Some humans are not so smart. That should be an interesting article there. That was by the Hypocrites. Posted April 23rd. Baby rhino chases away 1,500-pound bull who attacked his mother. Attitude is everything. Arizona. Milk is determined to be 1,600% over EPA safe drinking levels for radioactive iodine. The state did not test for cesium, which if that had been included, radioactive levels could be much higher. Alexander Higgins post, April 23rd. Internet poll reveals that 96% of the people want labels on GMO food. The fact that the government is working diligently to make that illegal tells us that it serves not the people but the GMO corporate interest. Monsanto, the great evil. Stop Aging Now magazine, April 23rd. U.S. military has developed an anti-radiation wonder drug called X-Rad, but it's not yet available to the public. The active ingredients have not been disclosed. Fox posted March 23rd. Video. Louisiana physician says that many of his patients are suffering from a variety of illness that are clearly related to the Gulf oil spill and chemical treatment that followed. He says that the mainstream media has blocked all news of human health problems. YouTube, April 23rd. U.S. Department proposes that passport applications include all prior addresses since birth, lifetime employment history, names, and personal family information, and more. Failure to provide this information could result in denial of passport. Don't worry, it's all for our protection, And it's also known as gathering information. It's called data mining from the government. The war in Libya supposedly is for humanitarian purposes, but the forces behind this military move are oil magnates. The Wall Street bankers and the CEOs of multinational corporations. One of the prizes is an enormous aquifer in Libya that could create an agricultural abundance with irrigation. However, the agenda of the New World Order has other objectives, including depopulation and privatized water systems. The Servando Gonzalez posted April 28th. Here's an excellent analysis of why the price of silver is skyrocketing and what to expect in the future. Also, the mechanism by which gold and silver prices previously were suppressed. It's explained. Even if you're not a bullion investor, the facts presented will impact your financial well-being. You cannot afford not to know. Seeking Alpha, April 26. What you need to know about GMO, frankenfoods, and where to get more information. Unfiltered News, April 16th. U.S. Some states are advocating a constitutional convention to rein in the federal government. Wrong. We can't do that. They're not constitutionalists. We agree with this analysis that a constitutional convention is dangerous because it opens the Constitution to be rewritten. Many of those who would be delegates are advocates of powerful government and are enemies of constitutional restraints on political power. If given a chance, they would destroy what's left of the Constitution and mimic the UN charter instead, which is a blueprint for collectivism, enforcing the Constitution existing limits on federal government, having the states nullify bad federal laws or the correct remedies. JBS posted April 23rd. And that's it, folks. That's the headlines for this week. And I hope you enjoy the headlines this week. Be good at it. And this is Spellbinder's Report. Good day.